All right, we've still got friends coming in. We got started by saying where we're tuning in from. Always love to see that. And I started by saying I'm going to say it again because I wasn't recording a minute ago. What I want for you to know is this is not about silencing your home. It's about not just about making it quieter or easier for your kids. It's about reshaping how relationships are built inside your home. Reshaping. Because sibling conflict isn't just noise, it's an emotional training ground. And the way you lead it today becomes the blueprint for how your kids handle conflict, emotion, and relationships. And not just now, but in the future as well. So yes, today I'm going to give you the shifts that reduce the fighting. But more importantly, I'm here to help you become the kind of mom who can lead emotional moments with confidence, not chaos. This is about leadership, not just behavior control. This will be under an hour. I think what I have to present is about 30 minutes, and I'll have some time at the end for questions and little trainings if needed. And after I share it, at the very end, I've got a bonus for those of you that are here live, a gift that will help you to have a discussion with your kids about a lot of what we are discussing today. My goal and my goal for you is to teach them how to become a team so that make sure you stay till the end for that. Okay, we still got some people trickling in. This is also an invitation to be interactive for you to get the most out of this. When I say type it in the chat, it's not just for me to see you, but it's for you to affirm to yourself what you can do. Okay, got it? Type ready in the chat if you are ready. We're going to start with an affirmation of ready, 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 ready. Love it. Love to see that readiness. Exciting. Good. Ready. Okay. Let's keep moving. I want to be really clear about who this space is for. This isn't just for moms who want less noise or fewer arguments. It's for moms who care about the kind of relationship their kids will have long after they leave the house. Long after. Moms who don't just want peace tonight, but connection later. And if that's you, you are in the right place. Oh, where's my little picture? It's not showing up on here. I can see it. The goal. It's interesting. It's showing me my goal. There it is. Okay, let's do a quick warm up together so I can meet you where you really are and best understand that temperature in your home as it pertains to conflict. So I want to see you type in the chat 1 or 2 words how you would describe sibling rivalry in your home right now. How does it feel? What is a word that you think about, feel as it pertains to what's happening? Bored. Okay. Daily. Great. Love it. Heartbreak, persistent, bickering, impulsive, explosive. Okay. Chaotic, overwhelmed, stolen clothes. Yep. Been there. Irritating. My kids want things to be fair. Ooh, we're going to talk about fair. Love it. Justice, annoying, stressful. Okay. Great. Love it. Control and weird sense of humor. Okay. Yes. I love seeing the words that you are feeling. My hope is that you can gain some clarity about how to turn that around. If any of those resonate, if you see something that somebody else wrote that you're like, yes, me too, give them a little like, because this is a space where my hope is for you to also feel seen, that it's not just you that's experiencing some of this, but that others are feeling it too. My goal is to help you feel less alone by recognizing that it's not just your home, and to also give you tools and strategies for working beyond that. What I want you to know, something right now, look me in the eyes, I know I'm a little small square at the top of your screen, is that you are not alone and you're not behind, okay? There are things that you can do moving forward. We don't look behind, we look forward facing. You're exactly where a mom who cares ends up when she's trying to lead emotional moments without the tools she deserves. You are an intentional mom just for being here, and that says to me a lot about you. So type in the chat, I am an intentional mom. This is the phrase I want you to think over and over. I want you to strive to become this. When you think other thoughts, it's harder to move forward and train and do differently. I'm an intentional mom. I love it. We're typing it. We're manifesting it. We're affirming it. I am an intentional mom. You are an intentional mom just by being here, learning, growing, gathering all of the tools to see and do differently in your home. My goal today isn't just to give you tips, it's to help you believe this is possible for you. Okay, so right now I want you to type, I believe it's possible for me. I believe it's possible for me. I want you to believe it. I know sometimes it's hard to even say or think or type it out, but I want you to do it even if it's painfully typing it in the chat. I believe it's possible for me. I'm an intentional mom. I love it. So good. We're going to continuously affirm and manifest some of these same thoughts and beliefs. Now I want to go a layer deeper. Before I teach you anything today, I want you to ask yourself a question. Why do you think your kids fight? Why do you think? Not what they fight about, but why do you believe it's happening in your home? Something to think about. Some of you might be thinking, well, because one of them is difficult, or because they're wired differently, or because siblings just fight, or because one is always starting it. Feel free to drop some of those thoughts that you have. Why do you think it is? It's good to be able to articulate, because when you can articulate the why, you can better combat the how to do it differently. They want to be seen and valued. They're bored. They want to know that they are seen. Impulsivity, stimulation, fairness. They want to know that they matter, attention. I love it. So many good thoughts. Competition, jealousy, insecurity, jealousy, trauma. Okay. They fight on purpose just to annoy you. Okay, so good. I love those thoughts. Jealousy, territorial over their spaces. Yes. Often pitted against each other, control and jealousy. Okay, so good. Now, those answers aren't wrong. They reveal somewhat of the beliefs that you're operating from. Yes, some of it may be true and some of it may be a perspective, and it's important to be able to dig into why that matters, because what you believe about why your kids fight quietly determine how you respond when they do. Your beliefs decide, do I jump in or pause? Do I blame or coach? Do I shut down or lead them through it? So today, we're not just changing what you do, we're changing what you believe. Are you ready for that? Type yes if you're ready to change what you believe, to open your eyes, learn something different, a new approach. Yes, yes, yes. Love it. Love to see it. I want to share something with you that might feel like a shift in how you've been looking at sibling conflict. Sibling rivalry is rarely a kid problem. It's almost always a leadership and an emotional safety problem. And I don't say that to put more pressure on you. We're not into shaming around here. I say that to give you your power back. It feels good to have a little power, right? Because if the problem were really your kids, you'd be stuck waiting for them to change. But when you realize this is about learning skills, suddenly there's something you can do about it. Let me explain what I mean. Most kids are not trying to be difficult. They're underskilled in emotional moments. Underskilled. Of course they're underskilled. They're learning, they're growing, they're a lot younger. They don't know yet how to manage frustration, how to express jealousy, right? I heard about the jealousy a lot. They don't know how to advocate for themselves or repair when something goes wrong. So what looks like, quote, bad behavior is often just untrained emotion. And that's not a character flaw, that's a gap in skills, which is actually good news. Good news, because skills can be learned. All right, type in the chat, skills can be learned. They can be learned for them, and they can be learned for you. Skills. We're going to have this open. Yes, good. Skills can be learned. Great. For you too. Yes. Skills can be learned for them and for you. Good news. Taking the power back. Skills can be learned. Okay. Got it. Love it. Now I want to pause here and give you what I call the big domino. The big domino is the one thing, if you truly believe that skills can be learned, the one thing that where everything else becomes easier. Sibling rivalry is not something you have to manage forever. It's something you can lead skillfully, not through control, not through punishment, but through emotional leadership and safety. And here's why that matters. If rivalry were just a personality problem, you'd be stuck, right? We think about personalities or we think about traits. Saw somebody mention ADHD. Yes, it's challenging to have those extra levels stuck on top of sometimes personalities and sometimes how they're wired. But if it's a leadership and an emotional safety problem, it becomes solvable. Solvable. Yes, we're all about learning skills becoming solvable. Do you see how this is the big domino? Type yes if you see it. When you recognize and see the one thing, if you truly believe this one thing, then sibling rivalry stems from lack of emotional skills that you can teach. Everything else becomes easier, okay? All of the minutia becomes easier to handle when you believe. You got to first believe it. You got to believe that it's about skills. Then you got to act and learn and practice the skills, and then you teach them the skills. That's how the cycle works. Our big domino. Think about that big domino. Now, let's talk about the 3 beliefs I see most often when it comes to sibling conflict that keep everything stuck. Okay, oh, that's mom there in the bubble, feeling stuck, feeling not sure where to go. Belief number 1, okay, this is just how my kids are. Have you ever found yourself thinking something like this? This is just how it is. This is just what siblings do. And feeling your power taken away because of that. If yes, just know that's an inner belief that you carry. That makes change feel impossible. Doesn't that feel impossible if you just think that's just the way it is? Type yes in the chat if that feels impossible, if you're thinking that's just the way it is. Okay, yep. Okay, so belief, this is just how my kids are, can make change feel impossible. This is just the way it is. I can't do anything about it, so I'm just not going to try and do anything about it. Okay, sometimes in yeses. Belief number 2 that keeps you stuck is saying some form of, I'm bad at this, I'm a bad mom, I've failed. Okay, have you ever thought any of those thoughts? Having that belief makes you shrink into self-loathing instead of leading. And it's a painful place to be as well. So we're thinking of these beliefs that we've thought in the past, and the goal is to strive to shift them. And then the third belief that many moms carry is that nothing really changes sibling rivalry. Or I've tried something before, like a punishment or yelling to talk sternly enough so that they hear. And dang, that belief system, that makes effort feel pointless. When you come from the place of nothing really changes, that makes your effort feel pointless. And here's what I want you to hear. Yes, nothing I do makes a difference. Yes, fits in there too. It's a belief that nothing you do can change anything. And I'm here to help you shift that belief because we're taking our emotional power back. Here's what I want you to hear. None of those are character flaws. They are belief patterns, and belief patterns can be rewritten. If you believe your beliefs can be rewritten, we're going to type in the chat, we're going to affirm, I'm ready to rewrite my beliefs. They're not character flaws, they're patterns that can be rewritten. We're typing, I'm ready to rewrite, we're rewriting your beliefs. I've got these old 3 beliefs that keep me stuck, and I'm ready to rewrite my beliefs. Rewriting beliefs, yes. Remember, we're typing, we're affirming, we're manifesting. This is how we rewire our brain. Our brains come from our growing up experiences, our past parenting experiences, and these beliefs can be rewired. We are rewriting beliefs. Okay, love it. Here's why so many incredible, loving moms feel stuck with sibling rivalry. You're not failing, you're just following an outdated map. And that makes sense because most of us were taught that good parenting means stop the behavior, be fair, keep the peace. And listen, those instincts come from a good place. They're about protection. They're about order. They're about wanting your home to feel okay. But here's the problem with that map. It's designed to manage behavior, not build relationships. It's designed for short-term calm, not long-term closeness. And when your kids were little, that map probably worked, but teenagers require a different operating system. A map that focuses on building emotional safety, teaching repair, and cultivating real closeness. Because when emotional safety is present, behavior begins to regulate naturally. So the issue isn't that you've been doing it wrong, it's that you've been using a map that was never designed for this season. Okay, so we got the old map. We're going to be looking at a new map, building safety, teaching repair, and closeness. I want you to imagine something with me for a moment. If peace is the lifeblood of your home, think about what could be the heart. Just think about it. No need to put it in the chat. It's your beliefs. Ta-da! Because your beliefs quietly set the emotional rhythm of your home. They determine how fast things escalate, how quickly things calm, and how your family recovers after hard moments. Your kids don't just hear what you say, they live inside of what you believe. If in your mind and heart you believe this will never change, they'll always be like this, we'll never be close, that belief becomes the atmosphere your home operates in. But when you shift your belief to, this is possible, we can grow through this, closeness can be built, something almost magical begins to happen. Not because your kids suddenly become perfect, but because you begin leading differently. Okay? And when the leader's beliefs change, the entire system responds differently. Okay, we're going to type it in the chat. This is possible. We're going to take that first reframed belief. This is possible. Type it. We're manifesting. We're affirming. This is possible. I'm watching. Yes, I know there's a little delay. Great. Love it. This is possible. Love it. So good. Now, let me tell you a little story about myself. I grew up with all brothers, and I often heard some form of, I'm just joking, don't be so sensitive, which taught me to believe that sensitivity was something to be ashamed of. And what I really wanted was to feel emotionally safe in my own home where I was growing up. And when I became a mom, I realized if I wanted my kids to experience something different, I had to lead that, not hope that they would figure it out. So I made emotional safety non-negotiable in our home and taught my kids that their words and their actions matter. But at first, I didn't quite know how. When my kids were little, I saw families where siblings constantly fought, where tension was just normal, where everyone was just surviving each other. And I knew deep in my bones I wanted something different for our home. I didn't want just less fighting, I wanted closeness. I wanted my kids to feel like allies, not opponents living in the same house. I saw glimmers of that in other families, how they worked as a team, how they supported each other, and how they trusted each other. And I thought, why can't our home feel like that too? I didn't want our house to feel like a battlefield. I wanted it to feel like a team. And that vision, that belief came long before that I had evidence of it working. I decided this is what I want, and I'm going to figure out how to get there. At some point as a mom, I realized that sibling relationships stopped being about less fighting and became about building something beautiful, sacred, because sibling relationships are some of the longest relationships our kids will ever have. It gets me emotional thinking about it. You've heard the quote that says, the siblings were there as they were growing up before the spouse and kids. They're going to be there. That's the only relationship that they have pretty much their whole lives. And I want to be really honest with you, believing this doesn't instantly make things easier. There were so many moments when resistance shows up, resistance will show up. Moments when it would have been easier to say, this is just how siblings are. They'll grow out of it. This isn't serious. Moments when I was tired, when I wanted quiet more than growth, when I just wanted the noise to stop. So my reason for staying consistent became stronger than my frustration in the moment. I didn't just want peace tonight, I wanted a relationship tomorrow. And that belief kept pulling me forward, even when it would have been easier to fall back into old patterns. And today, there's my kids, my my mostly adult kids. They have it. Not because my kids are perfect, but not because they don't disagree, not because I figured out some magic trick, but because I stayed committed to building culture, not control. They still get frustrated. They still have different personalities and they still don't always see eye to eye. But now they trust each other. They come back together after hard moments. They choose each other more often than not. And that didn't happen by accident. It happened because I stopped trying to manage their behavior and started shaping the emotional environment they were growing up in. Because when emotional culture is strong, behavior begins to regulate naturally. I want to share something with you that changed everything for me. And it explains why so many good moms, intentional moms, feel stuck even after learning new things. If the operator, aka you, isn't upgraded, no amount of new software or strategies will change the outcome. You can read the books, save all the reels, download the scripts, listen to the podcasts, even attend masterclasses like this. But if the emotional leadership running the system doesn't change, the results won't either. That's why strategies come and go, but capacity compounds. Capacity is your ability to stay grounded, steady, and emotionally present even when your kids are not. And when your capacity grows, everything else becomes easier. This is why change doesn't follow effort, it follows skill. And emotional leadership is a skill that can be learned. Remember, we typed that in the chat. It is a skill that can be learned. So imagine how your home would change if you worked more on developing yourself than on managing the mechanics of your family. Okay, type it in the chat. We're going to do it again. I can learn this skill. Look at that beautiful seed planting. I can learn this skill. We're typing in the chat. We're learning new skills. I can and need to learn this skill. Yes, love it. So good. I can learn this skill. This approach of emotional leadership has a name. It's called becoming trusted. It's not about controlling behavior. It's about leading emotional moments so that patterns change naturally. And the real value is not just kids who know how to control their emotions, but a family who actually wants to spend time together. And that's what you want, isn't it? That is what we want. Yes. Now that we've shifted how you see sibling conflict and how you see yourself as a leader, I'm going to show you the 3 shifts that make all of this real in daily life. These aren't tricks. They're identity level shifts. Okay, ready to shift. Type in, ready to shift. I am ready to shift from this to this. I'm ready. Bring it on. Let's hear it. I'm ready to shift. Ready, ready, ready. Okay, I love it. Hopefully, as you type and start to think this and feel it, as you start to think it, you start to feel it as well more. Shift number 1, when you act like a referee, your job is to decide who's right and decide who's wrong and make it stop. But referees do not build teams. They just stop the game. Coaches build skills. Instead of asking who started it, we start asking what skill do they need right now? Maybe it's how to express frustration, or how to listen, or how to disagree without attacking, how to come back together after conflict. I call this looking underneath the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg is what's happening in the moment. What's going on underneath? The fighting is the tip, but why does it happen? Here's a simple shift you can try. Instead of jumping into fix, referee style, pause, ask them, help me understand what just happened here, and what would help you better handle this next time. That one question moves you from control to coaching. Even better, invite them to take an emotional time out. This is not a punishment, but a time to cool down. We don't say the words calm down because that's a phrase that it can be triggering for many. But invite them, you know what? Why don't you take a walk? Let's talk about this in 5 minutes. This sounds like another example. Do you want to hit pause for a few minutes and come back when you're ready? Set a timer, discuss in 5 or 10 minutes when emotions have come down. Don't say, why don't you just calm down? Do you feel the difference in that shift? I want to hear. Does it feel a little different to think of yourself going from referee to coach? And yes, it is about teaching and learning and understanding the difference between those. So type in the chat, coach. This is your manifesting. I'm ready to start coaching. No longer refereeing, I'm going to coach. Yes, seeing what skill is needed. Yes, love it. Coach, coach, coach. We are going to take on the coach hat, take off the referee hat, take on the coach hat. And sometimes that means instructing in the moment. Oftentimes that means instructing after the moment, which is part of the bonus that I'm going to give you guys at the end. Okay, what were the questions to ask? Let's see, what was that? Instead of jumping out, help me understand what just happened. What would help you handle this better next time? All right, shift number 2. Most sibling conflict is fueled by one word: fair. It's not fair. That's not fair. Why does she get to do that? You always take his side. Have you heard some version of this? It's not fair. But equal, trying to make it equal and fair, creates scorekeeping. Effective creates support. We're not trying to be scorekeepers here. We're trying to be effective with support. Fair doesn't mean everyone gets the same thing. It means everyone gets what they need to grow. Back when I was younger, my mom used to say, well, life isn't fair, which to her point is true. But as a teen, it felt so invalidating to hear that from my mom. What I would have loved hearing is, I'm sorry, you're right, it's not fair. One child, do you see the difference in that validation versus invalidating? Slight tweak, we can appreciate validating what that looks like and how that feels. One child might need space, another might need coaching, another might need accountability. So here's a mindset shift. Instead of asking what's equal or fair, ask what helps each of them grow right now. That one question changes everything. And remember, a referee jumps in to fix, a coach guides according to their needs. It takes extra investigating of get curious, not furious. And it's worth that extra effort for true emotional intelligence being cultivated. Are you ready to stop trying to be fair and start supporting emotional needs? Type yes if you're ready. We're not worried about fair. We know life isn't fair. It is unfair that life isn't fair. It feels unfair. We can validate, but there is no fair. We can't ever have anything fair, and recognize that it's frustrating for the teenager to understand that. And sometimes for us to understand that as well. All right, shift number 3. Most of us were taught to stop conflict as fast as possible. But stopping conflict doesn't build connection, repair does. Conflict, it's inevitable. Conflict's all around us, it's in the world. To understand the difference between contention and conflict, one of my kids really didn't quite understand that. Conflict, you know what? It happens every day. That's okay. Contention is what we're trying to alleviate. How to have conflict without contention. Let me repeat this slower. Conflict is inevitable. Disconnection doesn't have to be. Here's what repair looks like to teach your kids. Acknowledging what happened, naming the impact, and guiding them back toward each other. So instead of, enough, stop that, go to your rooms. My favorite phrase that I like to say is, I'd like you to try that again. Or I'm going to let you try that again. Even if you have to say it 10 times in the most emotionally calm, regulated way, to help them self-correct instead of being told what to do. When you see or hear some sort of contention, instead of jumping in and saying whose side it is by being the referee, coach by saying, I'd like you to try that again. They might not like that. They might be annoyed by that. And I have found this to be a golden phrase. What in the world do I do when 5 of them are needing different? Right, at the same moment. Okay, Graham says repeat that. I'm not sure what part you want me to repeat. So I'll answer Melissa's first while you say what you wanted repeated. What in the world do I do when there's 5? Yes, in the moment, this is where you say we're going to take a little time out. We need to all take a little breather, and then maybe you can go to individually each of them. Send them to different places. We need to calm down. Like I said, we don't say we need to calm down. We need to have a little pause, and then we're going to reassess this. The whole last part about what to do instead of telling them all to go to their rooms. Acknowledge what happened. Okay. Oh, thank you. Acknowledge what happened. Name the impact. So naming it is kind of like, I see that you're frustrated. I see what's happening here, and we're going to take a pause, come back in a couple of minutes. And then guiding them back towards each other is a way of saying, listen, I want you guys to work this out. I'm going to let you try this again. I'm going to go over here. I'd like to see you talking through this. And some of it is in the moment. But a lot of this instruction training ground is in what I call a family meeting, which I'm going to talk about at the end and give you a bonus guide for how to have a family meeting. It nobody is really ready to be receptive to learning and growth when they're frustrated. And so, yes, in the moment we're trying things like try again, but outside of the moment is where the actual instruction ground is, when you're sitting around on maybe a Sunday afternoon and you brought out some cookies. Hey, we're going to talk for 20 minutes on becoming a team, like a family. So becoming a family team, which is, like I said, the bonus that I have for you at the end. So it really is not about the moment. It's about the teaching outside of the moment, so that when you're in the moment, you can remind them of what was taught outside of the moment. Does this work for littles? Yes. I mostly talk with, it works for all. These are relationship skills. These are emotional regulation skills that, yes, works with younger kids, and they start to embody it more and they can understand it more when they're older. Doesn't mean they're always going to act on it, but they understand and incorporate it more when they're older. Now, let's pull this all together. It's not just what you say in the moment. It's not the perfect phrase or response, though it does help to shift your verbiage. It's how you lead emotional moments that shape everything. How you show up when things are messy is what determines whether your kids feel emotionally safe, whether they trust you enough to want to be coached by you. Okay, they're more open to being coached by you if they feel emotional safety from you, and whether patterns get repeated or broken. Sibling rivalry doesn't just affect siblings, it trains your kids how safe it is to be human in your home. And that's why this work goes so much deeper than just stopping the fights. We're not just about stopping the fights, we're teaching life skills. Your reactions don't just affect the moment, they shape the pattern. What you repeat becomes what they learn. If you repeatedly rush in, control, fix, or shut things down, your kids learn, my emotions are too much. I can't handle conflict myself. Someone else has to manage this for me. They don't know how to articulate those words. That's what they start to feel. But when you lead with emotional safety, coaching, and repair, your kids learn, I can feel big things and still be safe. I can recover from conflict. I can be trusted with hard moments. That's not just preventing sibling rivalry, that's building emotionally capable humans. That's what we want, to build emotionally capable humans, right? So that the sibling rivalry can be alleviated in your home in the meantime. But long term, they're going to get married someday. They're going to have kids someday. This is breaking cycles that we weren't taught. Our parents were never taught. How great is it that we have access to this at our fingertips? Some of you might be thinking, I've tried staying calm. I've tried talking it through. I've tried not overreacting, and it didn't really change much. And I want you to hear this clearly. When something doesn't work, it usually doesn't mean the approach is wrong. It often means there's a hidden blind spot you don't know about yet. A place you can't see yet. A pattern you're repeating without realizing it. A belief that's quietly undermining your effort. And blind spots don't mean failure. They mean there's more growth available. That's not a problem. That's an invitation. Let me give you an example. It's pretty well known in the relationship, emotional regulation world that validating someone helps them feel seen. Am I right? Type yes if you understand this concept, that validating someone helps them feel seen. Okay, yes, we're all pretty, yes, for sure. We are familiar. It's not new. We are familiar with it. But what that looks like in nuances is some things that many of us are unfamiliar with. So when you're fighting with your teen about how they're being unkind to their younger sibling, because let's just say the younger sibling was singing loudly and your teenager says something like, he's just so annoying. And what you want to say is, he is not. Am I right? Has anybody had a similar experience to this before, where you're like defending the situation maybe by saying, he's not annoying, or can't you just deal with it? You're supposed to be more mature, right? Okay, every day. Love it. Okay, so when you respond, when they say he's annoying and you say, no, he's not, can't you just be nicer? It's invalidating, right? We all know we want to try and invalidate. But oftentimes it feels like it's agreeing. And what I want you to know and understand is that validating is not agreeing. Type that in the chat. Validating is not agreeing. Your teenager can say it's not fair, or he's being annoying, or you're being mean, right? You don't actually have, thank you, validating is not agreeing. You don't have to agree with it, and you can validate it. All right, you're seeing the connection. That's learning and understanding a new blind spot. So the blind spot of validation is, maybe I'm being invalidating, and that feels emotionally unsafe when I'm saying, no, he's not. I get that your goal as the referee in this moment is to defend the other kid and to try to prove somehow that they are wrong, your teenager, for saying that they're annoying. And let's be real, maybe you agree on the inside that the 2-year-old singing is kind of annoying, but that doesn't help either. When you put your coach hat on instead and say something like, okay, here's the shift. This is how you validate without agreeing. You say something like, thank you for sharing your perspective. I can see how that would be hard to hear him singing. You're not agreeing that the toddler's annoying. You're not agreeing that what he's saying is true or not. You're not trying to fix it by saying he is not. You're saying, thank you for sharing. I can see how that would be hard. It's a simple formula for validation that goes with so many situations. Is there a teaching moment later that you go over truths that are there that might oppose where they are with it? I am not, are you saying later in this presentation? Like you might be annoyed, but that doesn't mean you call out your sibling. Right, so not specifically, I will say. We'll go through this, we'll ask questions towards the end. I want to finish this presentation and then I'll have you ask that question again. So thank you for sharing your perspective. I can see how that would be hard. You're not agreeing, you're not convincing, you are validating. So even though you know validating is beneficial to build trust, you unintentionally invalidate in order to try and fix it or help him with toxic positivity, to see the brighter side of things, or to remind him that he needs to be nice, right? All of that is invalidating. You're trying to both fix the situation and fix their thinking. Okay, so are your eyes opened a little bit more to this particular blind spot of validating? Maybe you see it a little bit differently. This is my goal. I've outlined lots of different blind spots and what it looks like and how it looks a little bit different. So hopefully your eyes are opened. Type yes if your eyes are opened a little bit more to this specific blind spot. The bulk of what I teach moms are strategies through understanding very common blind spots and practicing changing their beliefs so that they rewire their brains while establishing emotional safety in their homes. Rewiring your beliefs. Remember, we talked about some beliefs that we've had, rewiring them, and then learning the strategies and skills to practice that emotional safety in your home. I want to pause here and speak directly to someone I know, something I know that some of you are feeling. If you're thinking, I should already be better at this, I've messed this up too many times, I feel behind. We're going to reframe, okay? We're reframing a former belief to something new. You are not a bad mom. You are a mom in process. Let that sink in for a minute. It's not something is wrong with you. I'm growing into the mom my kids need. Emotional leadership is a skill set, and most of us weren't taught that so well. We're in the revolution of this emotional intelligence, and we get to break cycles. The fact that you're here thinking about this, wrestling with it, trying to grow, that tells me everything I need to know about the kind of mom that you are. Repeat this to yourself. This can be learned. This can be built. This can change. In fact, type it in this chat. I want you to type, I'm a cycle breaker. I am a cycle breaker. Many of you have parents that parented this way, we'll just say as a referee, and maybe you didn't. But breaking a cycle is maybe even just breaking a cycle that you started early on in your parenting that you recognize and want to do different. I can break cycles. I am a cycle breaker. Love it. This is a learnable skill. This is exactly why I do the work that I do. I don't just teach strategies. I help moms learn how to lead emotional moments with confidence, clarity, and emotional safety. Not perfectly, but intentionally. I help moms see their blind spots, break old patterns, build new skills, and become the kind of leader their kids trust. Because when the leader changes, the system follows. It's not just willpower, mind over matter, or knowing better. It's a skill set that takes practice. To go from exasperation with your kids to parenting with confidence as you teach skills, you're learning. You are learning the skills and then you are then reteaching them. How lucky are we to live in this day and age that supports this so easily accessible? I recognize it can feel heavy when you think it's a willpower issue. Let me assure you, it is not. It is a support issue. Strong leaders don't avoid support. They seek it because what they're building matters. If this way of seeing parenting resonates with you, if you're thinking, yes, this is what I want for my home, type yes in the chat. Do you want this in your home? You don't have to do it alone. If today shifted how you see sibling rivalry, how you see yourself as a leader, a coach in your own home, then the natural next step is for you to attend a free space that I've created called the Trusted Lab. I teach moms how to see differently so that they can do differently in their home. Now, let me tell you a little bit about it. Next week, next Monday, I'm teaching the Trusted Lab, which is a free workshop. And yes, it's free intentionally because I believe you deserve to fully understand the foundation before ever being asked to commit to something more. So I have a link that I'm going to drop here in a second that you can sign up, or you can just type in kristenduke.com/lab. In the lab, I don't just teach concepts, I work with moms to build these skills in real emotional moments, not just in theory. This is where parenting stops something you know, I know better, and starts becoming something you do. Because understanding emotional safety isn't enough. Most moms already know what they, quote, should do. What they don't yet know is how to lead it when emotions are high, right? In those sibling moments that you're just so frustrated. Kids are reactive and you're tired. In the lab, we go deeper. You'll start seeing blind spots you've never seen before. You'll practice the skills that actually shift dynamics, and you'll begin leading your home emotionally, not just managing behavior. This is where it becomes lived, not just learned. The Trusted Lab will help you see your teenager differently, period. You'll step into relationship coach mode instead of referee mode. And the result isn't just that your kids behave better, it's that they feel safer. They soften faster and start choosing connection instead of conflict. Not because they're forced to be together, but because they want to be together. And what moms who truly embody the trusted framework experience is this. You'll begin to walk into your home and emotional temperatures feel different. Less tension, fewer eggshells, fewer sleepless nights, more calm in the chaos, more confidence in yourself. That's the peace that you're really after, isn't it? Peace. I didn't always parent this way. I used to believe my job was to fix the fights, fix the problem, restore order as fast as possible. But what I learned and what I teach now is that stopping conflict is very different than teaching connection. When I changed how I led emotionally, everything shifted. Not overnight. And eventually it seeped in to not just myself, but to my kids and my family. And that's what I want for you. Not just better moments, but a different experience of motherhood altogether. The Trusted Lab is part one of my 4-part pathway that leads into my group coaching program, the Trusted Academy, should you ever choose to continue. I'm not into forcing. I'm here to offer support for you to see what's possible. Inside the lab, I coach you how to become the coach in your family. I am coaching you how to become the coach in your family. Now, like I said, it's completely free. It is a 3-hour experience. We're setting aside time. I want you to set aside time in your schedule to dedicate to learning and growing. And from there, you'll experience the framework, you'll feel the shift and decide from clarity, not pressure. So if part of you is thinking, I'm interested, but I'm not sure, come experience it. Let me show you what's possible when emotional leadership becomes your new normal. Okay, so there's the link. Like I said, I'll drop it in a second when we start to chat. And if you feel ready, but you're not really sure what that looks like, if you're just like, yep, I'm here, I'm persuaded, I'm ready to do more, we can do a support call. I have some time slots open today and this afternoon. If you're like, I'd like to hear and understand more, I'm ready to step into it, I'd like to better understand what that looks like, we can get on a call. So we can do that after this to help you decide what kind of support would actually serve you best right now. No pressure, no fixing, just clarity and direction. Because this work is too important to try to figure out in isolation. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be intentional. And I can see that you already are because you're here. That is something you're already becoming. So one more time, I want you to type in the chat, I am an intentional mom. You're saying Monday. Yes, Monday's Trusted Lab is a 3-hour experience. It is digging deep into what it looks like to become that emotional leader and what that looks like. I'm an intentional mom. I love it. Yes. Okay. So let's see. We're now to this bonus time. I'm going to show you what that looks like. It looks like I can't share a link until I get off of my screen sharing mode. So I'll do that in just a second. This is the bonus that I promised you at the beginning for being here live. I'm a big fan of having family meetings on topics you'd like to dig deep into with your family. And this is a roundabout way of emphasizing being a team instead of focusing on rivalry. You don't want to focus on breaking up fights. You want to focus on the positive, which is team building skills. So I've got I think it's a 7-page PDF, but it's a way to say, hey, we're going to have a family meeting. I like Sundays just because it's a little bit slower in our home, but you can pick any day. Let them know in advance, hey, this is going to be a 30-minute conversation. Sweeten the deal by having a little something. Maybe you're going to go out for a treat after. Maybe you made a special treat at home. Let them know a time frame. Try not to go over it. If you hit that time frame, say, hey, can we have 10 more minutes? Because they might sit there annoyed, but it's working through this, talking about what it looks like as a team. So you're infusing positive thoughts instead of telling them what they, quote, shouldn't be doing. And in my group coaching program, the Trusted Academy, I'm often inviting moms to have meetings on topics to discuss with them. I like to help guide with different topics on how to have these meetings. It's such a great way to let everyone have a voice and it doesn't feel as much like a lecture. Okay, so I'm going to drop that link here for those of you that are on here live. I'm going to drop a couple links and tell me what questions you have. I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to pull up these links and drop them in the chat. So the first one is for the Trusted Lab. If you wanted to copy that. Like I said, yes, that's next Monday, February 2nd. This recording, some people might be seeing it after February 2nd. And just know that it's all different times. And then let's see, if you are like, yes, I'm interested in the lab and I'm also interested in having a one-on-one conversation to see what it's like in your full group coaching program and if it would be a good fit for me. I'm going to drop that link in so we can, that didn't copy well, have a chat. And then I'm going to drop the bonus. Let's see, that didn't copy very well.
Oh, okay.
And yes, if you want to come off the mic and ask a question, you can as well. And okay, here is I'll show you, actually, let's see, I was going to show the full PDF and what that looks like too. Do you guys have questions about anything? Let me show you this PDF real quick. Move my screen over. Okay, there we go. So, like I said, this is just a way to have with your family a conversation about what this looks like to strive to be a team. That is the goal. That's a goal that we always have. I don't know if you saw that picture of us. I got shirts for our family years ago that says Team Duke because I wanted to infuse that team mentality. So let's see. I see it. Lindsay's got a question. I understand validating. However, something new to me was even saying, like in the example you used, telling them it isn't nice to call their sibling annoying can come across to them as invalidation. I could do better at validating the moment, but is there a time you circle back to address them being unkind in the sibling? Yes, for sure. And you can say, like, there's the phrases of, like, it's okay to be frustrated. It's not okay to be unkind, right? And so you don't have to say what you said was unkind. They know it. They don't really need that reminder. But saying, like, I recognize that you're frustrated and it's okay to be, it's one thing for him to say something, going back to the example of the 2-year-old being annoying, saying something to the 2-year-old versus expressing frustration, to the room of whatever the frustration is. And sometimes they're saying it to their sibling. And so, yes, it's a combination. And so much of this is practice. So you hear these things and like there is an element, I recognize that hearing some of this feels overwhelming. And that's why I have the space with the group coaching program where we workshop these scenarios all together and talk through what that looks like. And so, yes, validating in the moment. And I will say you can come from a better place of guiding as the coach when you're also not frustrated, right? So if you're in this moment where you're like, that was so mean, it's harder to come from a coaching place when you're also highly dysregulated. And so having the 5 minute timeout for them and for you is beneficial, because then you can come from a little bit more of a place of calm. And then when you have some sort of a conversation later, you can say, hey, I wanted to talk about what that looked like. It's okay to be frustrated. It's not okay to be unkind, and helping them see what the difference is and say, what do you think you could have done differently, and asking some of that. So good question. Any other questions about anything that we discussed? Open to all of it. Would love to hear. How do I get my husband on board? What a great question. This is a question we discuss a lot in the Trusted Academy. I have a couple of my Academy moms here, can shake their heads and say yes. The best way to get your husband on board is to embody it yourself. Because we can't control our teenager, and we can't control our husband, unfortunately, right? And so much is, and there will be times, and I will say I have some moms in the Trusted Academy who are like, I have shifted my response, and my husband now feels like I'm turning my back on him. So there's the challenge there of mom's building trust because she's practicing all these skills, and dad's like, hey, what's going on? We used to be united. Yep, I've learned some things. I really want to be the coach. I want to build the temperature of our home so that our kids feel emotionally safe, and I just don't feel like that's safe. And so some of it is, and like I said, in the Trusted Academy, we talk about blind spots each week, and my encouragement is, hey, go talk to your teenager about this blind spot. Go talk to your spouse about this blind spot. Help them to see, this is what I'm doing. To spouse, I would love to have you on board. I recognize maybe like they're not fully bought in the same way. Some husbands are like, yes, I love this. I want to learn new skills too. Some husbands are like, no. That's not how I was raised, and I turned out fine. Something like that, right? And so there is that element of challenge when they're less interested, and you have to decide for yourself, this is what I want, and be open with him and say, this is what I'm going to start doing. My hope is that you don't see it as me turning my back on you, but I recognize this, what I was doing before wasn't making it any better. I'm going to try something new. And the hope is that they'll be like, interesting. Okay. And they might have frustration because they're not interested in doing things differently. There's my short answer for that. What else? What else is on your mind, in your thoughts and in your heart? I got 4 more minutes. I figured I'm here for the hour. Any other questions? Like I said, the basic foundation I'm teaching next week at the Trusted Lab, and we go deeper into how to build this emotional safety. That's the goal. To me, becoming trusted is becoming emotionally safe, and becoming emotionally safe is, it's a phrase that I think some people understand and some people don't. And really, it's being the place that my kids want to come to talk to me, and open to what I have to say, right? Giving advice and not feeling like it's lecture. Any thoughts on when kids start hitting? Are teenagers hitting, or are these younger toddlers hitting? Because yeah, physical violence is not okay. And I'm a bit concerned this is too early for me. My oldest is 11, so is this just things I can start to practice? I mean, I don't think it's ever too early to start practicing this. I think, and the earlier you start practicing, the more emotionally regulated they will be when they are teenagers. And so some things are harder to, I mean, I will say my kids were younger when I started doing this. I didn't wait till they were teenagers. And so when they were teenagers, they understood more. They didn't have as many challenges because a lot of this training ground was taught earlier. The earlier, the better. Yes, never too young. I talk about uncomfortable things way before most people do, and I talk about this skill building as early as possible. My son is 12, and I find the Trusted Academy helpful. I feel like 11, 12 is a real turning point. Yes, I love it. Listen, I hear people say, I wish I found this earlier, and you found it now. You're learning now. We're going to say, like, you know what? Past self, I'll say myself, past Kristen, you were doing the best that you could with what you were given. And then you learn new skills and a new way of doing things. We're going to be future focused. We're going to take our past beliefs, even our current beliefs of, I wish I could do this sooner, like changing it to, I'm glad I know this now. I'm going to move forward with what I do know now. My son will stand above younger kids sometimes. I need to tell him outside of conflict. Yes, good son, not dominate. Right. It feels good to be a teenager and feel like they can dominate, right? He's bigger. He can do it if he wants to. And instead of saying, I need to tell him it's not good, to say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about what I've seen. And yes, I see you are bigger and that must feel powerful. And what I would like to see is you leading and guiding your younger siblings and doing it differently. Help me understand why, like what it feels like in that moment, standing over them and dominating, right? Help me understand, what it feels like. What are you frustrated about? Validating whatever that may be, and then saying, this is what I'd like to see. I'd like us to work together to show the younger kids what kindness looks like. I get that you're frustrated with XYZ, and I know he thinks he's trying to help. Okay, he's trying to, the older kids try and like tell him what to do a little bit. Yes, you are so welcome. Grateful to have all of you here. Like I said, you are intentional moms. Hopefully you can feel it and embody that, and hope to see you at the Trusted Lab next week. And if you're ready for more, set up a call. I know some of you have attended the Trusted Lab previously and haven't stepped into the academy, and this might be a chance to do that. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.